Hello, this is a review of the film Dunkirk. Dunkirk was directed by Christopher Nolan and it stars Tom Hardy, Kenneth Branagh, and Mark Rylance. What this movie is about is in the early part of World War II, between 300 and 400,000 British and French soldiers are trapped on a beach in northern France, and they're driven to the sea by the Germans, and they have to get back to England and get out of there because they know that they're going to have to fight the Germans again. The Germans are obviously going to try to invade England and take them over, so they have to get their army out of there so they live to fight another day. The question is, how do you do it when you're basically pinned against the sea and you have to have enough ships to get those men back, and the Germans are going to try to stop them, by bombing them and strafing them with fighters and so forth. And they didn't want to send their whole navy there because, number one, the water close to the beach is shallow, so the big ships can't get in close enough to pick the men up. They would have to have smaller boats to ferry them out there. And number two, they didn't want their whole navy, destroyed because, again, they knew they would be facing the Germans at a later time, and they're going to need, all the army and navy and everything that they have to take them on, because the Germans at this point are pretty much unstoppable. Nobody has stopped them yet up to this point. They pretty much went through everybody. I thought this movie was quite well done. It was well acted and directed. I think the soldiers really did look like they were desperate and afraid, and they wanted to get back to England. They wanted to get out of there, and obviously I would too. It's shot in such a way as the colors are kind of subdued, kind of to enhance the kind of dreary mood that was present, with these guys, of the desperation they faced. I mean, imagine if you were on a beach, driven to the sea by the Germans, and you were lucky enough to get on a ship, and you were on your way to England, and then the Germans came with a Henkel bomber and bombed your ship and sank it. And then if you were lucky, maybe you could swim back to shore, and if you weren't lucky, you might have drowned or, got killed in the bombing. So this is what they were up against. I'm not going to tell you exactly how they evacuated these men because that would be too much of a spoiler. There aren't a lot of big name actors in this film. The only ones I recognize were Tom Hardy and Kenneth Branagh. Tom Hardy plays a Spitfire pilot, and Kenneth Branagh plays the British Navy commander. But I thought that the people in the film were, they did a good job. They did, good acting and so forth. It's really believable. When they show the beach and the supposed this amount of men, they didn't really try to make it look like it was 300,000 or 400,000 men. They kind of stayed away from that. I mean, they could have done it with CGI, I suppose, and made it, but that probably would have looked too fake. But they kind of just show, the beach at a distance and just show a bunch of men standing in a line, waiting to get the hell out of there, and you kind of have to imagine, what it would have been like just to have that many men out on the beach. Even though this is a war film, if you're looking to see like a lot of fighting and war action, you'd be disappointed because it's basically just these guys trying to get home and some of the German Air Force trying to stop them. You don't really see any Germans until toward the end of the film, and it's just briefly. So that's really not what it's about. It's more like a psychological war film than anything else. It's like, these guys are scared, they want to go home, they want to get the hell out of there, and how are they going to do it? That's the point of it, really. The few issues I had with the film were, early in the film, the Germans, I don't want to have too many spoilers here, but the Germans bomb a hospital ship. It's a white ship with big red crosses on the side, and they bomb it and sink it. Now, I don't know whether this really happened or not. It's, at the end of the movie it says it's based on this incident, but the characters and some of the stuff portrayed is not real. So this might have been added for dramatic effect. I don't know if the Germans were that cruel to bomb a ship of wounded men. Is basically what that was. Although my neighbor was in the Battle of the Bulge, and he fought the SS, and he said when some of their some of their medics had to stay behind to take care of the wounded men, the SS captured them, and rather than taking them prisoner, they just killed them. So the SS, were pretty cruel, but I don't know if the entire German army and air force was that way. Sometimes I think they're maybe over vilified a little bit in the films. Another problem I had was an incident that takes place with a Spitfire later in the film, and I'm not gonna give it away, too much of a spoiler, but the pilot kind of performs a maneuver with the Spitfire that I don't know if it could actually do. I'm not a pilot or an expert on aviation, but it seemed a little far-fetched to me, but maybe it was just to enhance the story or whatever. But overall, I give this movie a rather high rating. I thought it was quite entertaining. It was kind of informative. I didn't really know much about this incident. I heard of it, but I didn't really know what happened or how it was done. So I thought it was rather well acted, well directed. The location looked really realistic. I don't remember in the credits where it was really filmed, but it kind of did look like a beach like that in Northern Europe or whatever. So overall, I rate it rather highly. I suggest if you like historical based war films that you check it out. I think you'd like it. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And thanks for watching my videos.